or duo. And poor Abad on the side of SBE. I mean, I don't know what kind of carry he's going to get this game. They are not being very friendly towards him, I'll tell you, John. He hasn't got that many options.
Yeah, I think the safest bet here for a bot would be something like the Jug. I think Grimstroke Jug is still pretty strong. Omega, though, dip into that Hoodwink. So we're seeing probably Enchantress Hoodwink support duo. We have seen the Hoodwink be effective in the rare times it comes out. The damage values feel weird. The stun is a bit awkward, but in lane, if you have the proper partners, it can work out well. South build, it's the only core left. They have to go for that Jug. They have to play with a Grimstroke Jug combo and just kind of work from there. It's an aggressive enough lane. You've got the spin to protect yourself. You've got a good heal to sustain yourself in the lane for farm. It can kind of work out well. The one thing is that with the Grimstroke 5 now, you want maybe a little bit more activity on your 4, perhaps, if they are going to run that dual lane. And you still have to worry about the Doom. Like, as long as this Doom manages to maybe get a blink, jump in, Doom the Jug first, he's not going to be able to spin. He's not going to be able to use Omni Slash, and having a Jug standing around there doesn't feel great. You don't have any defensive spells here from South built yet. Nothing like an Oracle to help your Jug kind of stave off that damage. So it's going to be a bit tricky for a bot anyway. And, you know, Jug is a stable core, but it's not as explosive as, say, a Troll or PA when it comes to like flash farming and kind of hitting major item spikes for damage output. So it's a much more steady core, but it's also a bit more of a rockier win condition for South built here.
Okay, fair enough. Omega really enjoying their reserve time here. 49 seconds left for this fourth pick. They kind of already have the answers towards the Jug with that Doom. It feels like. So Omega, I don't think should be too stressed about the Juggernaut. Assuming they have confidence they're going to be able to get the Doom off. And now they go for the Void, just in case. So you've got a pos one that can actually deal with the Jug quite nicely. SBE, they're not going to think about it too much. They'll go into the Pugna now. And that does look like it'll probably be a position 2 Pugna. So now I'm thinking, is this Tiny going to be going to the 4 roll? It does kind of feel like it. On the brighter side though, John, you've got the Decrepify now with the Avalanche Toss. So no matter where everyone goes, that Avalanche Toss is really going to hurt. Assuming you have the Pugna around to just kind of amplify that magic damage with Decrepify. It could be quite devastating here for Omega, at least in the first 10-15 minutes. And even when the Tiny does get his blink up, it becomes even worse.
Definitely. You've got a lot of burst potential on South build. You even have that natural disarm for the Faceless Void. So if you don't have Manta, if you don't have BKB, if you chrono and don't catch the Pugna, there's a big chance you'll just be decrep. You're not going to do damage. It's a great counter pick against the Void in that sense. But once a BKB or Manta comes out, you're not going to have too much issues there for Tino. I like the Void pickup here for Tino. I think it's one of those heroes that he loves to go into. It hasn't had a great time, but you certainly have a lot of combos. And South build going into the Earth Spirit. So there's a question now. What exactly is their off lane, their mid, and their 4? Because all three heroes, Tiny, Pugna, and Earth Spirit, they have a lot of flexibility on hand for those positions here.
Let's find out what happens. Omega, how do you want to respond to this? They've got 37 seconds of reserve time left to make the decision. Definitely, it's going to be a little bit confusing here to kind of understand where everyone's laning on SBE, but Omega shouldn't be too concerned. They are just lacking what looks like a mid laner. And in 20 seconds, we might find out exactly what that last pick is going to be. I mean, either way, it doesn't feel like the Pugna, Tiny, or ES is going to cause too many issues in that mid lane. Like, they're not the strongest of laners. And there you go. There's a Kunkka now coming up for Omega, which is a very strong kind of laner. And I've got to say, Omega Esports already with their draft looking quite potent. It does look very hard to kind of burst anyone down here. A lot of team fight, a lot of control. And in terms of lanes as well, John, it looks pretty sorted.
Yeah, and it looks fairly interesting as well. Marb on the Earth Spirit does signal a mid Earth Spirit here. Henry is taking the Pugna off, so Earth Spirit mid versus Kunkka, I don't know what to expect there. Like, we have seen Earth Spirit mid work out, but it's been almost half a year since we've seen that really, right? Like, that was around December 2020 in Pro Series 4. So we'll have to see how much Marb can pull out here. Mac should have a steady time. Omega closing out with a Kunkka, I think, is one of your only options left to combo with her Void. They've got the X mark, they've got Torrent Boat to play in that Chronosphere. You might have preferred something like Lina, but picking Lina into Pugna can be painful. You can't find the Nether Ward, and it's just constantly ticking away. You've got some pretty high mana spells that'll just burn through your HP, so I think the Kunkka was a safer bet. It's a really well-rounded lineup from Omega. It is 3 melee cores up against a Pugna and a Jug, but I don't think kiting's going to be a major issue. Maybe if Joe Beasy gets the great soul binds that he needs to break up that initiation from South Belt, that's how you can get that done.
All right. Well, with that, John, we are going to head off into game number 1. Of course, this is the Loop Bet Pro Series Season 6 and the first game of the playoffs. Omega Esports up against South Build Esports. We'll see if SBE can kind of turn their luck around here and try to get some wins on the board for themselves, as they are going to need it, right? Because if they can't win out this series, they are just out of the tournament altogether. A bit of a rough position for both teams to be in, but I'm sure Omega are going in quite confidently, where, you know, SBE, they might be a little bit less confident, but let's see if they can make it work.
Yeah, I think they've got sensitive timings to play with, but there's always the potential. You know, we've seen Earth Spirit mid kind of take off as long as it gets that quick timing. Zenki on the Tiny is probably going to be the wild card. Like, you're not going to get quick blinks. You're going to have to rely on that Earth Spirit to get the initiations for you. So we'll see if Zenki can hold out on his 4. That's going to be really important. If this Tiny lags behind on support, we've seen it really fall flat with a bad start.
Omega already grouping up in that mid lane. Bit of a D-Wood coming out, but they are on the wrong side. So CML, he's going to lose a sentry, but they'll know exactly where it is now. So if they want to bring another sentry out, they could get the guaranteed D-Ward. And Ryu and Zenki are hanging around the ward, though, so they are in range to deny it off if that was to happen, but it looks like Omega, they're not really going to try for it. They're just going to let it be for now. SBE, they might go for a kill attempt. Shanks, he's hanging around. He'll find Zenki. Zenki gets the toss back right onto Marb. And Shanks is set to fall as a bat. Will be the first one to take the first blood of the playoffs. And, well, that's a great start for the side of SBE.
They set themselves up well. That's exactly what we need to be seeing from Zenki. He needs to line up these early kills. Already some early trash talk as well. Jubizy asking if he's doing fine. Now if Shanks is feeling all right. And Shanks is just throwing, you know, tanking them all there. Just right back at you. So, good spirits from both sides. Always forget to mention as well, but this is a Rambulan. So it's 2 Filipino teams. Always fun to see. And should make it really spicy with the all chat. Still, looking at these lanes, a bot down bot up against Sam H and Shanks. Of course, he's got Jubizy around to help him. So it's a Grimstroke Jug lane. Jubizy does offer level 1 Stroke of Fate for that first blood. No Inkswell spin combo yet. You'll probably really see that pop at level 2, level 3. This is a hard lane to zone out, though. Like, once Shanks gets his level 2 with Enchant, or even just getting the Nature's Penance to sustain the lane, it can be hard to bully him out. And Sam H in a melee versus melee lane, which is basically what's happening since Jubizy's tagging Shanks, the Doom kind of holds its own. It's got 5 armor now, got decent attack animation and loud damage, so easier to clear out the last hits, and as long as you can devour every single time it's off cooldown, you will build up a net worth lead here.
Absolutely. Of course, over in the mid lane, you've got Marb there up against Mac, and we are going to have a quick pause out, but that won't matter too much because it does allow us to talk about the other lanes. So Marb versus Mac, I kind of briefly went over it during the draft, John, but I don't think Marb's going to have the greatest time on this Earth Spirit. And generally speaking, the Kunkka will usually win out any kind of mid lane matchup he's up against, unless you count things like the Husker and Viper. But as an Earth Spirit, I don't really see Marb having the greatest time in the world. Maybe he gets some CS early on, but I think as the levels go up for Mac, he's going to be able to harass him out quite nicely with the Tidebringer. And I just don't see much of what he can do on this Earth Spirit.
Yeah, it's a tough lane. Like, you can't really leverage your mobility too much because of eventually the X comes out from Mac. It's hard to get last hits. You do have pretty good base damage, but you can't really trade, especially since Tidebringer's a spell. for the Kunkka. So Mac's just going to be able to control this lane quite nicely. The only thing Marb can really push here is, say, rune control. So I think the key thing here for the Earth Spirits, shove out the lane by around the first 6-minute mark, get those bounties up every 3 minutes, steal it away from Mac. And that's one way to kind of stabilize that, but you just kind of run the risk of giving Mac a bit too much. So should be fine for Mac, not too much excitement. Once he hits, say, level 4, that's the spicy point for Kunkka. Going 1-2-1 gives you a big kill opportunity on melee heroes. Marb's going to have to be very careful with when he uses his rolling boulder, just to make sure he can time it to escape there.
Well, Tino, he cops a lot of damage out on the Void. Gonna be alright though. So Enryu's having a very good time in this Pugna, which is gonna be a cause of concern here for the side of the Dire, but nice little bushwhack there. Enryu is getting quite low. Tino gonna try and move in and close the gap, but he didn't have Time Walk available at the time, and he's not really gonna be able to get much done. I suppose Enryu does have to be quite cautious himself, because if you do get caught by the bushwhack, they do have enough damage to just kind of burst him down on a squishy core like the Pugna. But now he has been just fine though, as long as his Tiny's around. Zenki's not struggling too much. I say that though, CML's just going to currently just chase him down on the Tiny and make sure he can't make his way back up to the wave. Zenki, he does have Avalanche up. Not committing it yet, but there you go. CML does cop it and now it does go down. In the end, CML, he got a little bit greedy there for the clarity on the Tiny, and he does end up paying for it.
You have to respect that burst damage on the Pugna Tiny lane. There's a lot flying out early on. You're not really going to be able to sustain that as the Hoodwink there, but you are giving Tino a lot of space. He's basically free farming 15-3, not really being contested by Enryu. We're not seeing too much decrep spam as well to stop Tino from just farming up. And Enryu is fairly squishy as well, so it's not like he can easily jump in and get decrep off. They have to wait for Omega to overextend and punish with her Tiny. So it's just a little bit more, it's less of a active lane for Enryu himself. It's more of Zenki to make that work. And I think if you're Omega, you're 2 down, but you did sacrifice your supports, especially in the top lane. I don't think you mind too much. As long as Tino gets this ramp up on the Face's Void, it's not too big of a concern. Like, Zenki's still gonna get some good timings on his items for sure, but overall,
it's a lot of damage. Tino, toss back onto Enryu. Do they have the damage to finish him off? Yeah, they definitely do. Now the blast out was gonna be more than enough, and it's been a rough time already for the Void, but that's going to be 1 kill going the way of the Pugna. CML at the time, it looks like he was going for a small camp pull, but it does end up costing him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Joe Beasy going to get taken down by Shanks. The Enchantress, obviously a pretty tough support to go into, and Joe Beasy, he tried, but Shanks did have a bit too much damage output. In fact, now onto a Bart. He'll go for a spin back in onto Shanks, but he won't dive the tier 1 tower. They'll try to punish him for this with the enchant out. He'll get the healing ward, but the enchanted creep is going to die a bit preemptively, and they weren't able to get the stun off, so in the end, a Bart is going to be just fine to walk himself out. Bit unfortunate there for Shanks on the Enchantress, but I suppose you got a bit of harass off anyway.
It's not the worst. You managed to take that healing ward, so it's a bit tough, but down mid.
Yeah, Mac. Inkswell going to be out. Marb is going to connect with it, and now Zenki going to show up. They got the boat out. Is it going to be enough, though? He's a pretty tanky boy now. In fact, CML is going to be able to kill off Zenki, but there's your boulder smash out. Out from Marb. He'll get 1. He'll roll away. Does he quite make it? Not quite. He will go down to the tower. Joe Beasy now. Going to be caught out as well with the impetus, and CML should eventually finish him off. I suppose if they'd gotten the Grimstroke out, would have looked a bit more worthwhile for the side of SBE, but I'd say it does even out quite nicely now that they found 2 for 1. Still, I suppose killing off the Kunkka is going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, you got the Kunkka kill first before Marb fell. It's a little bit better there for the Earth Spirit. He's still lagging behind an EXP though, so I don't think Mac minds too much. That level 6 spike, we saw the big ghost ship coming out, buying the time for the supports to come in, make those plays happen. To be a bit cautious there for SBE. The good news is that they can rotate like this. Like, the top lane's just very hard for Tino to solo. It's already in the jungle. They will have to make some moves to prevent the shove in mid though.
Mac He's been rolled on, but the Bushwhack is out on Marb. He'll try to magnetize and get his way out of this. Zenki's going to move in with the avalanche toss back onto Shanks. Shanks going to be in a spot of danger as Mac is still being chased down. He'll get a double damage rune. He'll throw the boat out. It might just be a little bit too late, but no, Marb. He gets caught by the boat. Mac, he's trying to deny himself off. He won't be able to get it. But it won't matter. He does get the kill first. Overall, it was a 2-for-1 trade, this time in the favor of SBE. It's still quite a back and forth game here, 6-5. Currently favoring SBE is top lane. Enryu, he does get the tier 1 top tower, so things are still looking very good for this Radiant side.
Yeah, Tino's had to bail out of lane. He's just jungling. The Faceless Void doesn't jungle very fast. You do have some mobility with a time walk, but you don't clear those camps real quick. So this is going to be a slower process for Tino. And that's the one thing that all these rotations have happened for Omega. It opened up SBE to take the top. They've slowed down Tino's farm. They're having a better time here on Abbat's Jug. And he's very open with his itemization there as well.
Zenki. It's up top again. Tino does have to crepify and is going to throw it out. And now the avalanche toss and life drain is going to be more than enough. And it's that combination. As long as the Decrepify does land, you should be able to secure the kill. But bot lane, the Jug has also been caught out. So Abbat is going to drop. And that'll be the first doom of the game out from Sam H. Joe Beasy, he was also around, but is going to back off to the tree line unless Sam H is going to have a look. They'll send the Centaur in, but well, actually pings are coming out. They seem to know Joe Beasy's around there somewhere. TMO, he's going to show up, and there you go. They found him. Bushwhack going to hold him down. Shanks, he'll move in. And eventually Joe Beasy should just definitely be dying on this Grimstroke. Slowly but surely. There's now Abbat's going to show up. Omni slash will fly through. Does hit the Centaur once, but eventually is going to jump back to Shanks. They'll get the kill, and now the roll in. Marb, he wants to join in, and Sam H is going to be targeted. They'll have a lot of damage out from Enryu, and Sam H is going to drop to boot. It just seems to have taken them way too long to find that Grimstroke kill, and well, there you go, Joe Beasy, who'll give them the tip.
Yeah, way too far in, and they might lose more.
Mac? Stuck around, Bushwhack is not going to land. Zenki going to keep the chase up, but he won't have toss for another 5. Here you go, the Acorn shot slow, going to be more than enough as now Mac goes in for an X boat. Zenki going to be targeted, but the life drain going to heal him up more than enough. He's going to be just fine. He does run his way out, and meanwhile in the mid lane, Shanks being caught out again, but Marb, he might drop for this. He'll try to run, and looks like he is going to be alright. They don't actually have the control for Marb on the Earth Spirit. Very unfortunate stuff here for the side of Omega, but great news for SBE.
Yeah, they're definitely finding that foothold. They've managed to delay the spikes of Tino. The Void is still at level 6 right now, still trying to work towards the Maelstrom. Hasn't been able to use the Chrono. It's been a really slow game for Tino, not even finding a single support kill with an early Chrono. They've lost control of top lane. The mid can be easily shoved in once Enryu shows on mid, and he is standing around that lane. He's starting to shove it in a bit, so you have to watch your control on the map here if you are on Omega's end. They're just forced to respond everywhere, and they're not able to play on their own terms. They've got to time themselves around Doom. It's off cooldown now for Sam H. He is going for the Midas buildup, so no Blink yet, no BKB. That's going to be a bit later, but this is fairly standard for most Dooms now. We can't see the Midas to just really accelerate farm. So that means Omega's pacing is going to be a bit slower. Every single time Doom's down, they're probably not going to look for a bigger engagement. Once it's up, though, maybe they run up, but they're going to have to set up with some other heroes instead. And they are clumping a lot of heroes on bot, so they are feeling strong with Doom up and probably just looking to even out map control here.
I'm not sure how strong they feel, but I think they might be a little bit desperate to at least get that bottom tier 1 tower. They're going to try now. Looks like the side of SBE, they're just going to let this one go. Instead, they'll head into the mid tier 1, and well, of course that's much more valuable, and it is going to force Omega to try and come over and defend this. Enryu, he's just going to keep whacking away with the Nether Blast, and this is one thing with the Pugna that you can't really stop from happening. So eventually Mac will show up as well. They're going to protect the tier 1 for now, but it has taken a lot of damage. It's basically 2 Nether Blasts away from going down. We are going to be seeing a bit of a smoke up now, SBE. Zenki and Enryu going to go for a smoke across the map. Sam H going to be spotted out, toss in from Zenki. There's your avalanche, but do they have the damage? Sam H going to ensnare him up, get the Doom out, and now the Chrono. They haven't got the Doom kill yet. They'll get it eventually from Zenki, but they're going to lose Enryu in the process, and now a great shot there from our Hoodwink as they should find the Tiny. Shanks will keep the chase up. Meanwhile, on the left side, they've got Joe Beasy. He's been bushwhacked up and eventually will drop. So Mega, they'll find a 3-for-1 trade. And Sam H, he was basically guaranteed to already die. They get a very nice trade for themselves on Omega. And that's something SBE do need to be very cautious about. So you do have a nice lead right now, and you just don't want to kind of give that back the way of Omega. Now a bat. Gonna be alright for now. He'll spin out of the EX, Mac. Not going to connect either. They'll get the tier 1 tower, and now the silence out on Mac. There's your ensnare there from Sam H, though, and the bushwhack to make sure. Can't keep the chase up and back. Never mind, they found Shanks on the Enchantress. Shanks going to try and go for a run, but the Omni Slash going to make sure he cannot get away. Now the roll back in. Marb, he just wants to keep going. They've got Mac on the Kunkka. They'll kill him off.
Look, this is game 4. Thanks for playing Dota 2.
Another.
Double kill.
Marb's just rolling right into the tier 2 tower. He will miss out on the other one, but... Well, there you go, John.
Yeah, Dockville, they're showing up, and Tino.
In fact, Tino now
nice
being
roll.
caught out. That is a great silence in from Marb. Oh, it's looking like a bit of a yikes game here from Omega John. It's 14-10, but a 2k net worth lead for the side of SBE. You kind of wonder at what point this draft's going to come out online for Omega, but it's looking pretty rough right now.
Yeah, they've got to sit back. They've got to keep farming. The issue here is Sam H on the Doom, because he went Midas, means that his power spikes are a bit stalled out. So you need to wait for your Doom and your Faceless Void to get some farm up. He's only got the Maelstrom, which is helpful, especially in clearing out camps and doing damage in the Chrono. It's not really enough to match up against the opposing side yet. Like, as the game goes on, the Void gets stronger and stronger, because Chrono basically has no counter here beyond Decrypt and the Heaven's Halberd. But it'll take some time there. So I think for Omega, they need to be a bit more patient. For Southfield side, they need to push this advantage. Take out the last tier 1 out. All tier 1's gone now from Omega. They can really start to foray into that jungle a little bit more often. Maybe start to consider the Roche as well, although that's one of the riskiest spots to fight up against the Kunkka and the Faceless Void. So you're going to need some information beforehand. You can see Omega, though, they do smoke up. They've got Doom back, they've got Boat, they've got Chrono. You need to make something happen with these spells.
Yeah, Mac, he's going to sneak up from the backside. They don't see each other yet, but Tino, he got the 4-man Chrono off. How do you even get that done? The boat's going to fly in with the bushwhack out. They've got the Doom, they've got the Sharpshooter, they've got everything. Oh, Tino. He caught him with their pants down, John.
Ooh, he really set that up for his team. The smoke on smoke not quite working out there for SBE, and they need to be aware of those cooldowns. Like Omega, they look flaky when they don't use their spots, but when they do get into that team fight, when you get the Boat off, when you get the Chrono off, when you land the Doom afterwards, it's very easy to clean up. And they were going in without too much information. Both sides didn't have forward wards, so it was more like a 50-50 that happened. It's just rather unfortunate for SBE they didn't get the proper read on the map, and they were punished. Omega suddenly tie up the game 14-14, 1k lead on their side, just very slightly. Most of that is riding on Sam H. You are still lagging behind on Tino by about 1.8 compared to a bot, so that's something they'll need to correct.
Oh, bot. Nice Mad to dodge on the X. Mac, he'll give him the tip. He respects it. Because now Marb's going to show up. Mac, he could be in a spot of danger, but towards the south, they found Sam H instead, and they want to go after the Doom. They want to make sure that Doom is out of the team fight, and they'll get him. Nice setup again from Marb on the Earth Spirit. Now SBE, they can get back to work into that top tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Zenki going to show himself to Shanks, but he does have to be quite cautious here as Tino is going to be around. Zenki, he may have waited around a bit too long as the avalanche toss. It will come out, but it will be really not enough to take down Tino. But it still will buy a lot of time for the top tier 2 tower to drop here. SBE, they're not backing off, but CML, a cheeky little sharpshooter. It's not going to be enough damage. In fact, Joe Beasley's going to have a look through the tree line to try and find this hoodwink, but in the end, is not going to be able to get him.
It's a really good tower for SBE to take, though. Like, they managed to free up the top lane entirely. They've got that forward ward. They can now consider Roche Shot, especially since Chrono's still down for half a minute if they wanted to, but they're kind of too split up for it that they're just going to chase around here.
Janx can be caught. A nice easy kill here for the side of SBE as Marb really on target with these rolls, and he gets another. He's doing a pretty darn fantastic job on this mid-Earth Spirit. Rest of SBE just kind of following his lead. So Mega, so they're just going to kind of chill out and wait around for that Chrono to be back up. Tino, he does need a bit more farm for himself anyway. He is a bit behind right now, so he probably doesn't really want to join these team fights yet, but he might have to, as there has been Mac being caught out again on this Kunkka. He shows his face for a second, but will end up dying as Marb is not done. He wants to look for a bit more. Invis Rune active. CML going to try and go for a run. Does TP away, and Marb will not spot him out in time. So they will miss out. Will also TP away. In fact, bot side, they found a Bard. Sharpshooter is going to guaranteed land with the Bushwhack out. They'll get a very nice kill. That's a great little play there from Omega, just realizing that SBE were on their side of the map. They TP down, they commit the Chrono, and they get a very, very important kill. It's mid lane now. They've got Shanks. It's not quite the best trade, but they'll get something for their trouble, as now Mac's going to TP in. Mac, he's going to be in a spot of danger as onto the right side. A Doom is out. They've caught Marb as well on the Earth Spirit. This should be a guaranteed kill, but do they have the damage output? Sam H, he'll stun him up, and now they definitely will. As Marb does drop. And so in the end, Omega, they definitely find the positive end of these trades.
They make it work. They kind of compensate for losing Mac early on. I think you're starting to see some big spikes for Omega. The BKB being up for Sam H enables him to play a lot more aggressive, so he only really needs the blink now, and it's not going to take long. Like, Devour at max level, the gold's starting to pile up. Once that blink's up and running, you can definitely play around his Doom timing a lot better, and you can start buying more space out for Tino. You can give him more jungle space. He can bleed some of that space back to Mac for him to finish his BKB as well.
Bushwhack does land. I don't think they'll have the damage to really finish him off here, but they're going to get a fair bit off as now the Omni going to be committed to make sure he does not get hit by the sharpshooter. And that'll be it. They back off. Suppose maybe if the sharpshooter did land, Sam H could have finished off the kill, but that's not going to be the case this time around. Abart commit the Omni and just get back to farming. He is very close now to the Aghanim Scepter, and once the Ags is up, it's going to be a much stronger Juggernaut. Mind you, Tino is still going to have the advantage on the Void, because you do have the Chrono, but if you can kind of just avoid the Chrono as this Jug, you should be just fine in the team fights.
As long as you don't get initially caught out, but he also has to worry about the Doom when it's up in Sam H. So there are two spells to watch out for. He doesn't have anything defensive yet to block the Doom. We don't have any Linkins or at least a Lotus to punish Sam H. So in that sense, you really have to be on point with this Chug. And you have to have some good information on map. Now, they do have some good defensive wards down mid, watching that Roche Pit, watching the lane, but they don't really have information around the jungle. That's where Omega's vision really shines. They've got two aggressive wards in the bot jungle. They know where a bot is. They can always punish the Jug when he shows up to farm, and they can line themselves up every single time their spells are off cooldown, which should be soon. Doom is only about 12 seconds off. They've got the Chrono ready on Tino as well. It's almost time to act here for Omega.
He's going to show himself in that mid lane, and they're going to go for an immediate roll mob. He didn't quite reach, but he got the silence off. Sam H, they're going to jump in with the Doom now. They've got the Earth Spirit with the sharpshooter out. Live Train going to try and help Chrono. Is going to be way off the mark from Tino. He tried the same move, John, but this time it does not work out in his favor. On the brighter side, they do still get the mid-earth spirit, so Marp does drop, but they aren't going to have Chrono now for another minute and a half, 2 minutes, so it's going to be a bit rough for the side of Omega. And at the same time, Abad, he did just pick up the Aghanim Scepter, so they are immediately going to smoke up. Try to find a valuable pick off themselves, as they might run straight into Sam H here on this Doom. But no, he does manage to blink out in time, Sam H. Some nice game sense here from the Doom, and
Middle tower is under attack.
TP out. Won't matter anyway, because the side of SBE, they're not 100% sure where he is. So this smoke not really going to amount to anything.
Really good sidestepping there from Sam H. Even dodging the scan was pretty nice. So they just completely whiffed the smoke. They can't even transition to a Roche because Abad just wants to farm up instead. So they don't really do much in this downtime. That's just more time for these spells to go off cooldown, more time for the farm to fly in. They see Sam H now.
And they do. They will not be able to get him though. Again, he does kind of avoid them and just TP's out. He's going to be just fine. This bottom side, Mac, he's going to start going after that bottom T2 tower now. Just abusing the X to make sure he does remain safe. And when the mid lane looks like CML does end up getting caught out on the hoodwink. Zenki does pick up a kill on the Tiny. They're going to start a Roshan attempt here, SBE. They understand exactly where Omega are. I suppose if they can get away with this Roshan while the Chrono's down, why the hell not?
Yeah, they can do it before the Chrono's up, but I think Omega still has potential to fight in here. If they make it in time, one good Torrent, one good boat could change this.
They're moving in. Now, of course, SBE, they will back out. But they have gone back in now. Abad and Marb are there. Roshan getting quite low. But just spin out of the Roshan pit. He's going to be very cautious about that Doom from Sam H. Meanwhile, Tino, he's only got 13 seconds left for that Chrono now. So not really much time left. As they are going to smoke up. 5 seconds now for that Chrono. Tino waiting for the perfect moment. Joe Beasy, he's going to get hit by the Bushwhack from CML, and now Sam H will start the fight. Marb is going to roll in a big magnetize out, but they got the Tomb off on the Earth Spirit. They want to just try and burst him down. Now Tino, he finds the Pugna, gives him the Chrono just to make sure they can get the kill. And with the Sharpshooter, they definitely can, as Abad will keep trying to fight this one out. He does commit the Swift Slash, but he won't have enough damage output. He'll go for the Omni on Shanks. He'll get the kill, but he'll lose Joe Beasy in the process, and now he'll go for the team fight once again on his own with Zenki. Avalanche toss out, but Zenki, he has gone too far, and he is going to pay for it.
Dominating performance.
And that looks like it'll be a free Roshan now to the side of Omega. As SBE, they tried to sneak it, but they didn't have the damage output to finish it off in time. That's going to be a big boost here for Omega Esports now, as SBE, they're going to start really falling behind here with this Aegis up on Tino.
They finished the BKB up in the Void as well. So you've got a lot more leeway here for Tino to get the initiation off. He doesn't have to worry about the Earth Spirit Silence. He doesn't have to worry about the Pugna Decrep to disarm him. All they need to wait for now is cooldowns. For the side of SBE, it does feel like you're starting to lose some timings here. Like, Enryu has not progressed too much in itemization, and they can go hunting, but Mac is fairly tanky now, so it's not really the easiest target to jump anymore.
Certainly not. They've got to play fast though, SB. Like, you can rely on the Jug later on, but against the Void and against the Doom, it's just not going to be much fun for Abad. They understand they need to really start pushing right now, as they do go in for a big magnetize, but is it going to be good enough? Max got the X back again into the boat, right on the Earth Spirit's head. They should have the damage, and Marb is going to die as now Sam H moves forward onto the Pugna. They found another. That'll be Enryu gone. And all they can do is just keep pushing out the lanes. Abad, he commits the spin and the TP away, and he's going to make it. I can't say the same for Joe Beasy, who has been spotted now by CML. It is set to die on the cliff in a very sad and lonely fashion. Nice sort of forced stuff away, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah, Shanks gets his revenge on Joe Beasy. You know, all that trash talk at the start made Shanks put a target on his back. And he gets sweet revenge. And the side of South built, it started to fall behind. And their heroes really don't scale too well into the late game. If you think about Earth Spirit, right? Like, you love to talk about it, but you need to win that early to mid support, even as a core. You have to do that. Although,
they're going to try and jump in on Tino with the Avalanche toss out, but Tino's got a BKB and the Aegis up. He's also got Chrono in 2 seconds now, so Marb really should not have a way out of this. The bashes keep coming. Tino, he's waiting for that right moment as Marb is going to get hit by the sharpshooter. Decrepify was a bit too early, and Zenki's jumped in. A nice Avalanche toss out, but it's not going to matter. Sam H has the damage output, and now Zenki, who tried to just help out, is going to get punished as well. Very unfortunate kind of set of events here for the side of SBE, as now they'll go through the bot lane. But he's going to try and split push the top lane. But I think Omega could just keep going. They've got a 13k net worth lead, and there's not really much of a reason to back off. SBE, nice silence out, but it's not going to be enough. Tino, he'll just time walk off the damage. He'll go back in. That tier 3 tower is definitely not set to last, as they're trying. Tino, he'll let the siege creep try to do the rest, but it misses uphill. So it's going to survive on 49 HP. As the chase will start now, Tino, he could turn around here, but he may have gone too far. The bushwhack is going to land. He is still being healed up. Now the Omni's there, but Tino is going to be fine. In fact, that was just a swift slash. They do get a nice sharpshooter, Tino. He's going to lose the Aegis. Now Marb on the backside, going to try and catch out CML, but they might just want to focus on this Void as they'll get the silence off. But Tino, he's going to be just fine. Now a Bard being chased down again, but he does still have the Omni to commit here in this team fight. It's Joe Beasy going to be chased down by Mac now. The Grimstroke getting quite low. Tino, meanwhile, still trying to find where this junk's gone. Marb is trying to find his way out, but he'll get stunned up. Joe Beasy and Marb going to drop. The rest are out of there. But Omega, even though they lose the Aegis, still managed to win out the team fight. There's just not really much that SBE could do about it.
no, they had to commit everything to just get 1 life on Tino. It's not enough. Like, they just don't have enough damage output on bot. It's very uncomfy for him to use the Omni and to jump in.
Well, they go again. They've got the Tiny, they've got Enryu on the Pugna, the sharpshooter, not really going to land on a nice blink out there from Enryu, and Zenki, he might be able to get out himself. So neither hero really dropping there. But they are still going to lose this mid-tier 2 tower. Nothing they can do about it. In Omega, they are immediately going to go into that Radiant Triangle and just trying to take control of this map altogether.
Yeah, they can just build up their farm now. They've got the 16k lead on their side. They have no worries. Clear out those tier 3 items on the neutrals as well. Really nice psychic headband that would be very useful for the supports, or maybe additional range from Doom.
Oh no, they've committed the swift slash. He did X himself back. Marb though going to get a nice magnetize, but there's your Chrono out. They've caught 2 again. How are they going to be able to kill anyone though? In fact, it was 3, but he got stunned up in the middle of the Chrono. They kill off Joe Beasy, but he'll buy it back. There goes Marb on the Earth Spirit. Enryu trying to survive, but he just can't survive the damage output, as now a bat is going to be X back right into the loving arms of Omega. A nice roll in from Marb, but is it going to matter? Not quite a part. He gets doomed up and taken down, as now they even found another Marb kill, and they'll get him with the die back. Enryu, he just bought back himself. They are running in 1 by 1, trying to get something done here, but it is all going to be for naught. There is so many tiebacks in this fight.
Less than 4 kills.
Omega, they might be able to just go high ground, and well, there you go. GG's called. They've had enough.
All right. That's a lot quicker than I'd expect. I mean, it's a really smooth start out for the side of SBE. They had an amazing start for themselves there. Omega were having a bit of a rough time. They had to get farm on Doom, had to get farm on their Faces Void. But once Tino was comfy to throw out the Chrono, it just kind of lined up. And South built, I get that there was pressure to play aggressive. Needed to play fast with the Pugna and with the Earth Spirit core. You just can't afford to take it slow with those 2 heroes. But they just didn't manage to get that smooth start they wanted. Like, the initial farm was decent. A bot was building up fairly quick as well, especially compared to Tino. But it felt like at some point you were losing Marb way too much. He'd roll in, and he was basically your only initiation. Zenki's blink was kind of there, but you couldn't really have... What will Enryu do in that case? He blinks in, maybe you burst someone down, but once the BKBs came out, that was all you needed in Omega, and I think that just made it really tough for Southbolt. Their win condition was pretty much clear all towers by 20 minutes, and that just didn't happen.
It was a pretty rough series. I mean, it was a great start for SBE, but they just weren't able to make it work. And, well, naturally, this is a best-of-3 series, so they're not quite out of it yet. But they've got to try and pull off this Game 2 victory here up against Omega. And we'll see if they can get it done in Game number 2, as we are going to head off to a short break. But right after that break, we'll be back with Game number 2's draft. And, of course, we'll be back with Anime John as well. We'll see you all very soon.